And good morning, everyone, and welcome to Small Biz Matters, the half-hour program where you work on your business rather than in it. We are very proud to welcome to the studio today a very special guest, Michael Gray from MKG Events, which I'm super excited to be welcoming because he's got a very important announcement to talk to us about a really important community issue, which interestingly, I hadn't thought about before this morning when we were having a little chat before the show. It really does affect business. And that's all about making bullying history. Something that is probably forefront to a lot of families' minds in these last couple of weeks here in Hornsby after we've experienced yet another very, very tragic death of a member of our community. But we won't go into that too much because we want to keep it positive. We want to talk about the benefits of fundraising. And today we're going to talk about the event itself and a little bit about how you came into this particular line of work. So welcome to the show, Michael. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Alexi.
Do you want to just tell us a little bit about the event, first of all, while we've got everyone's attention?
Yes, so the Make Bullying History Foundation Gala Dinner held this coming Saturday night at the Green Gate Hotel in Killara. Will feature an multi-award winning performer, Brian Lorenz, as well as a two-course dinner and wonderful atmosphere. So basically the event is about making bullying history. So as an issue, bullying actually causes
millions of
up
dollars,
to $36 billion in lost productivity in the Australia-wide business community.
I didn't realise that. That's huge. That's massive when you really think about it. And you know, when we were talking before, I didn't realise it's from corporates all the way down to small business, really. Yeah. Not to mention the educational productivity lost.
And unfortunately, also at a more school level, bullying's actually attributed to over 80% of the children suiciding. So of the 450 school-age students that suicide each year, 80% of that, the primary motivator is bullying. So it's obviously a massive issue. It's one that affects families. It's one that affects the community. And I think it would be fantastic if you guys could come along and support such an important issue.
Exactly. And so it's this Saturday night. What time does it start?
7 o'clock at the Green Gate Hotel.
And people obviously need to book in advance.
Yes. So bookings are required by Thursday, and you can book by calling 0452 446 443 or emailing michael@mkgevents.com.au.
And you've got quite a number of local business sponsors, which is lovely. We always talk about how fabulous our local business community is around here and what they do for events such as this. So just rattle off some of the names that we've got.
Yeah, so it's wonderful to see such a strong business support in the North Shore area. So we have Cullen Real Estate, Next Print, Navarra Videos,
Legal Vision, and then you've been doing quite a lot
of a whole range of other awesome sponsors. And without their support, we definitely couldn't have this event because they provide such an important role.
Exactly. And they're obviously bringing along a table of their colleagues and clients as well, which is another way that they can support.
Yes. So as a business, you can bring along a table or a group of people. You can provide products, services, support to the event to cover the event costs. You can provide auction prizes or cash sponsorships to cover various expenses. And this is a very important aspect of charity events because without this sort of support, obviously it can mean that events don't go ahead depending on the nature of the event. So it is really important from that point of view. But also it's really important for the Make Bullying History Foundation because of the joint support of all our wonderful team of sponsors, the Make Bullying History Foundation is going to receive a lot more return on investment, and which is critical because like say, for example, there are some school communities, for example, that can't afford to, because they're a national and international charity that specialises in anti-bullying.
Yes.
There are some areas that they can't actually reach because the organisations can't afford it that actually need it. So they rely on events like this to get the funding to be able to go to those types of events. And like, for example, recently there was a teenage girl that suicided by driving, taking her parents' car and driving into the front of a train, and that was directly attributed to the fact that, unfortunately, the school that she was at couldn't afford to bring the foundation in from.
So that's what the foundation does.
Yeah.
So this is what you're raising money for, is taking, is it seminars or at workshops?
Yes, so they specialise in delivering anti-bullying seminars that are encouraging, that have actually delivered up to 70% reductions in bullying within school communities within a 12-month period, which is a massive cultural shift. And we're also talking about not just bullying, but physical acts of violence. We're talking about the serious
and that's obviously got to impact the local community.
Words that people say. It can be physical violence. It can be obviously very cyberbullying online, and there's a whole range of different aspects of it. So it can be minor, it can be major, but they have a way of really impacting at all levels of that to make a massive difference, as the statistics show.
Yeah, and what you mentioned before, which was really interesting, is, and I find quite fascinating, obviously these programs going into schools are crucial. I mean, it enables the teachers to have the skills to deal with bullying, the executive of the community, of the staff, and also the kids, because obviously we've got kids at higher levels that are influencing younger levels and changing that mentality and the culture of bullying in schools. But what I found really interesting is that they actually go into corporate. So this same organisation that talks to kids actually talks to the corporate world.
Yes, so the Make Bullying History Foundation, they deliver seminars in two different ways, as Alexi mentioned. So in school communities to students, teachers and parents, and then also too in the Australian business community, because as mentioned earlier in the show, up to $36 billion, according to the Federal Productivity Commission, is lost each year because of bullying. And obviously that's a massive productivity loss, and it's one that has a solution, and it just needs to be, I guess, enacted. And I'm not saying that every business has bullies in it. What I'm saying is that because of obviously the stats, there are some that are, and obviously to take action in that area is going to allow business to thrive in many more productive ways.
That's right, and I have to say, I've actually been a victim. I know this sounds bizarre because most people are going, how do you not talk your way out of a situation? But I've been a victim of bullying at work, and it was astounding how it all came about. When I think about the history of it and how this person came in and was just so small and irritating to begin with. And I let them go, and I thought, oh, whatever, you're not going to get to me. But eventually it did. And I think that's what makes it a bit different from, well, no, it's not different, is it? I mean, I think the culture of bullying probably has the same cycle no matter whether you're at school, at primary school, at high school, or in the corporate world or in the bigwigs, right up at the board level of multinationals. I think everybody is affected in some way. And that productivity, to hear such a huge figure, I mean, if we spread that out amongst all the businesses in Australia, that kind of equates to a few $1,000s per business. And obviously, there's a lot of my small business listeners out there thinking to themselves at the moment, what's she talking about? I don't even have any employees. But it's not just about employees, is it? It can be a culture of bullying between clients and business owners. Do you think this is something that perhaps the foundation would be interested in coming out and talking to small businesses en masse, maybe giving them the strategies that supports them?
Well, yeah, definitely. I reckon that they would be exceptionally keen to come and connect with small businesses. So, if you'd like to discuss anything in the meantime with them, feel free to contact the Make Bullying History through their website, the www.themakebullyinghistoryfoundation.org.au.
Excellent. And so it's obviously a not-for-profit, evidently. So take me through a little bit about...
Fully registered charity.
Yay. Now tell me a little bit about how you got into this line of work, because a lot of people, events is a really fun and hip and happening kind of place to work. But what is it that drew you to the not-for-profit space, apart from the feel-good feeling that you got out of it?
So, I started my business back in October 2014. Prior to that, I'd had 8 years' experience in planning, marketing and managing events. And the first event that I actually did was a charity event in support of, as a community fundraiser, in support of a cause that was really, close to me and my family. And over the years of doing that, plus other events, I developed, obviously, my skills and my expertise to the point of growing events from pretty much nothing to over 10,000 people, events that are featured across all medias nationwide, events that have been sponsored by many small local businesses right through to large corporates. So in terms of once I started my business, it was actually a direct result of the events that I'd run in the past by people approaching me saying, I'd like you to manage me, I'd like you to run my events. So that's, I guess, what started the business. And in September last year, I had the pleasure of meeting Brett and Teresa Murray, the CEOs of the Make Bullying History Foundation. And as I was bullied when I was in primary school, quite badly, and
resonated.
Quite an interesting story, actually. So the principal of the school didn't really handle bullying at the school too well and actually got transferred because of it. But
took him down.
Anyway, it's obviously something that I can appreciate. It's something that's a major issue locally. It's a major issue across Australia. And I'm really, passionate about delivering them exceptional results. So it'd be fantastic if you could join many other local small, medium businesses right through to media and millionaires that'll be attending this coming Saturday.
Yeah, and it's a really good opportunity to network, come to think of it. This event's going to be a great networking opportunity because I think if we stick to the events that we're constantly talking about, I'm going to talk a little bit more later in the program on Small Biz about the networking events that we do have coming up, but they're a bit samey. You know, if you go to one and you go to all of them for about a year, you're kind of meeting the same people. So to have an influx of new attendees through an event like this, it's a really exciting point in the calendar, I think, and definitely something you should consider going and joining for sure. So tell me a little bit, obviously you had that background in marketing and event management in the profit space. How does it differ when you're organising an event in the not-for-profit? Do you find it, I'm going to be coy here and say, do you find it easier to get sponsors because you're working for a good cause? Is that part easier?
It's quite an interesting point, actually, Alexi. So as like our recent achievements include obtaining sponsorships for one of our other charity clients, over $1.7 million worth. And obviously we've got an extensive experience in onboarding sponsors, but not just getting sponsors, but delivering value back to those sponsors,
That's
which
so
is
important,
a key
isn't
point.
It? Yeah, you
as
can't
a
just
small,
go.
medium
You can't just
owner.
say, "Give me money."
Exactly.
You have to say, "What am I going to get in return for this?"
So, for example, a 5-star venue that came on board for the Make Bullying History Foundation for one of our events later in the year in the city, they have received 4 new business networking organisations at that particular venue. So, obviously, that's regular new business for them, and that's obviously very valuable. We've got on the other side of it smaller businesses that might just donate print work or donate time, and they've also received a significant number of new clients. So say, for example, a printer, we were able to connect with the owner of a marketing agency who hired him for his client work, referred him on to clients, which they subsequently hired him to. I've referred them on to my clients and he's got work from that as well. So obviously we aim to start that kind of snowball effect for the people that sponsor our charity events, because without their support, the events may not happen.
Exactly.
So obviously it's not just about taking, it's about giving, and that's something that's also of great importance.
Exactly.
Well.
We're going to take a short break on Small Biz Matters here, and when we come back I might talk to you a little bit about what the benefit is for small businesses and why they might get involved in this sort of event. You're here listening on Triple H 100.1 FM, Small Biz Matters, the half-hour program where you work on your business rather than in it. We'll come to the end of the show and I'll tell you about the networking events that are coming up. But more importantly, let's talk about your event that's this Saturday night at the Greengate Hotel, the Make Bullying History Foundation fundraiser. Very exciting. Tell me who's going to be there again.
So the feature act will be Brian Lorenz. He's an international and national
even I've heard of him.
multi-award-winning entertainer. Extensive experience in performing and a very, very high quality act. There'll be a 2-course dinner.
Tell me about the food.
So the Greengate Hotel will be putting on a delicious 2-course spread for the guests of the night. There'll be a charity auction with lots of really awesome prizes donated by local small business owners. in addition to obviously the opportunities to network with a whole range of other small, medium business owners, right through to
you said something about millionaires.
Earlier.
I heard millionaires.
So, yeah, there's a very wide range of people.
The people with the money and the people with not so much money.
Well, it's not necessarily so much about that, but what's important, I guess, for a guest that's attending a charity event is not how much money they have, but I guess the reason that they're there. And, the reason that they should be there is because they consider bullying and the effects that it has on Australian society to be a serious issue, and they want to make their contribution, whatever it is, to taking action against it. So,
that's right.
yeah.
And you were mentioning before the break as well, the Productivity Commission has stated that the loss of productivity to Australian businesses and the economy is how many millions?
According to the Federal Productivity Commission, up to 36 billion.
It's massive. It's huge. You spread that out amongst all these small businesses in Australia and you'll find that it's a few $1,000s each. And of course, the Make Bullying History Foundation is doing seminars not only in schools, which is the obvious place, but also out there in the corporate world, which I think is so important, because you and I were just discussing before the break how pretty much, do we know anyone that hasn't been affected by bullying at some point?
Well, interestingly, as a statistic, in the case of children being bullied, the stats show that approximately 2.2 million Australian children, which is 63% of Australian children, are bullied, which is obviously the vast majority of the population.
At some point in their schooling careers, exactly. And if that carries across and it goes through to their working lives, then we've obviously got a massive sociological problem. So we were talking a bit before the break about your involvement with businesses at a not-for-profit level and how they get involved in that space. Now, if I was a business and I had some funds to spare because things were going well and I wanted to give something back to the local community or to a foundation like the Make Bullying History Foundation, what would I expect? How would I expect the conversation to go with someone like you, who is an event coordinator?
So basically, what I value as important in this area is obviously the ability to give value back to the sponsors, because as I mentioned earlier, a lot of charity events couldn't happen if there weren't sponsors, and also if they did happen, if there was no sponsors, the charity would not get the return on investment that it could get with sponsors.
That's right. Every dollar that you give to an event like this, or everything that you donate in terms of your products and services, is another dollar back into the charity's pocket.
And also, too, what I actually find from experience, I've run events obviously before where 100% of the event costs are being covered by sponsors, which actually means the guests that come donate more because they know their money is going 100% to the cause and not to anything else. So what I actually also find is they're a lot more generous. So, yeah.
And so if I was a small business coming to you to talk to you about an event, I said, okay, well, Michael, I hear that you do not-for-profit events. Tell me a little bit about what's coming up and how I can be involved. So how does that conversation go?
So, yes, what I'd look at is obviously how you would like to be involved, whether it's donating a product or a service for an auction or, say, for example, marketing collateral or that type of thing, or whether it's cash to cover fixed costs like venues or catering and that type of thing. So I'd understand what you'd like to give. I'd also want to understand who your ideal customer is, because obviously pretty much no business targets everyone. Everyone has kind of an ideal kind of customer. I'd like to find out who that person is, and then obviously provide you with a tailored proposal that's suitable for your business, that delivers value in return for the value that you provide the charity and the event. That's
an interesting point, actually. I hadn't thought of it like that maybe not all charity events suit each business. I mean, obviously, a local sporting team might not necessarily want a local circus to sponsor them. You know, it's kind of those mismatches. And I guess if you approach an event management company, then you're getting a wider range of events to choose from as opposed to just going to a local community group. I mean, it's all the same thing. You're trying to support either a local level. Who are your customers? Are they outside the local space? Do you need to be expanding your reach through this particular event? Or are you happy to just go, look, this is the community I'm trying to target. This is the suburb I'm trying to get into. So I'm just going to go right into the pointy end. Or do you say, look, I'm aiming for the upper North Shore or the whole of the North Shore, so I need to get inside the minds of other businesses and community members who are there. It's a really interesting point because we've talked about this on the show quite a bit, that marketing strategies are hard. Charity work can form a part of your marketing strategy, and bringing it all together is very, very difficult for small business. We all wear many, many hats, and we're all expected to do marketing, and we're expected to do advertising and graphic design, all part and parcel of that. So you have to be careful when you've got those sponsorship dollars to give. You need to make sure that you're getting return for those, that you're not just sort of throwing the money away and hoping that it sticks, much like advertising in a space that doesn't have your clients in it. So exactly that. Exactly. Interesting point.
Yeah. And it's also too what in the past, some of our sponsors have not necessarily actually got value from the people who attend. The value that they've got, which really turned out to be triple or more what their original contribution was, has actually been through our vast networks of contacts and clients as well, because obviously we work with a whole range of really, really awesome people, and
so it's a networking form of networking, really.
Yeah, it's a form of networking as well. So just because, the person that attends may not actually be their best client ever, it might actually be someone who, like, just happens to mention to us, oh, I'm looking for a new venue for my regular weekly event. And obviously, in the case of the 5-star venue in the city that came on board as a sponsor for one of the Make Bullying History Foundation events later in the year.
Which venue was that, out of curiosity? Just drop the name.
Yep. So, that event will be in June. So, obviously, that's very valuable to them. So,
exactly. And that's huge. And I think that that's an important point. We could consider that in our marketing strategy as businesses, that yes, we know we have to network. Well, why not combine the sponsorship and the networking capacity together?
Yeah.
But you have to work on it, don't you? You can't just rock up, do the event thing and then leave. You need to build on those relationships with people like yourself or other people that were at the event.
Exactly. And I guess that's the thing with networking generally. If you make contact with someone once, you tend to forget about each other with the craziness and busyness that is small business space and business generally. But obviously the really, really good networking partners are the ones that you have regular contact with, that you build trust with, that you understand what their business is and who their ideal clients are, and they take obviously the time to also understand who your ideal customers are, and that's how you can form powerful collaborations.
Yeah, so, and it's really important. And I hadn't, honestly, before this discussion, I had not thought about sponsoring something as a networking opportunity. You need to infiltrate and use those connections that you make. And as you said, the one little meeting is not enough. You need to build on those relationships, just like we do with our friends. Friendships need work, and so do business relationships. So something to be considered. Look, I wanted to say thank you very much for coming along today. Just tell me about your event one last time, all the details, and how do people get tickets?
Yes, so tickets are $120, which is slightly below the average rate, which is $150 for gala dinner style events. And obviously that includes the 2-course dinner, high-level entertainment, great networking opportunities, and a really, really fun night. So that'll be held at the Green Gate Hotel, and also too, part of that will also be a donation to the charity.
Absolutely.
In addition to all the raffle tickets, in addition to the lucky door prizes, in addition to the auction, and any donations that people choose to make above that on the night. So
how do people get tickets?
Yes, so they get tickets by emailing me at Michael, so that's Michael at mkgevents.com.au, or calling 0452 446 443.
Awesome. Look, thanks for coming on the show. You've given us some excellent insight into not-for-profit events, how to get the most out of it if you're involved in it as a business. And of course, today, if you've missed the show, you can jump onto the smallbizmatters.com.au podcasts and have a listen to the show back if there's any elements. And you can, of course, get in touch with Michael if you've got any questions, and you can also jump onto our Facebook page, Small Biz Matters Australia Facebook page, ask any questions you might have of Michael, and we can get him to answer them for you.
Thank you so much, Alexi, for the opportunity of speaking today.
Absolute
And,
pleasure.
Yeah, just one more thing. Bookings are due by Thursday for the event on Saturday.
This Thursday. Fair enough. Okay, just letting people know about some other Small Biz Matters events that are coming up this week. Actually, they're not my events. They're just events in the event calendar of the Upper North Shore. As my regular listeners would know, we like to feature all networking opportunities for businesses between about Chatswood and Hornsby. So if you are looking for the opportunity to network, you can subscribe to our newsletter, smallbizmatters.com.au, and each week you will get a listing of everything that's coming up for networking opportunities. So if you're interested in that, you can go to the Small Biz Matters website and register via our page. Look, thanks once again for coming on the show, Michael. We will see everybody next week for Small Biz Matters, the half-hour program where you work on your business rather than in it. You're listening to Alexi Boyd from Boyd Office Management Services. I will see all of my lovely listeners next week.